Okay, hi guys. So we're kind of down to the wire, low key. I'll kind of tell you guys a little bit more about what to expect for this week at the end of all this. But to start, what we're going to be doing today is reviewing for your culminating exam. So what's going to happen is I'm going to show you guys the problem. I'm going to give you a chance to write it on your own if you're struggling, and then I'll go ahead and give you guys kind of like some hints or some steps, and then the last slide will be us going over it together. All right, so for example, this is going to be the first problem. All right, so like right now in the Ed puzzle, I'm going to stop recording here, and you guys are going to have a chance to try it on your own. If you tried it out and you weren't entirely sure what to do, you can go ahead and use these steps. So really all you're going to be doing is factoring and solving. So the first thing you're going to do is figure out A, B, and C. Use the X method. Once you have your X method done, set those equal to 0 and solve for X. All right, we're going to keep all of them short to about 3 steps. So now with these steps, I'm going to give you guys another chance to go ahead and try to tell me, try to work it out on your own. Go ahead and tell me what is X. Okay, so the problem that we were going over together is this 7x squared plus 29x plus 4. What I said was just factor, set it equal to 0, and solve, right? These are a little bit more involved. So when I said factor using X method, you guys should have found A to be 7, B to be 29, and C to be 4. A, B, C. A times C goes on top, so 7 times 4. The first one times the last one goes on top. The middle one goes on bottom. All right, A times C on top, B for bottom. So I'm looking for two numbers that are going to multiply to the top and add to the bottom. So I'm looking for two numbers that multiply to 28 and add to 29. Those two numbers are going to be 28 and 1 because, well, 28 times 1 is 28. 28 plus 1 is 29. So 28 on one side, 1 on the other side. This is kind of like the only part where things might get a little bit different. You have to remember that in this case, A was 7, A was not 1, and in that case, we had to divide both of these numbers by 7. So 28 divided by 7 comes out evenly to 4. 1 over 7, we're going to leave it as a fraction. Go ahead and just sort of set it up. From this step, what you could have done is set this fraction and this fraction equal to 0. Like that totally works. Another thing you could have done is go ahead and multiply the 7 into just this one here. So that's what this person decided to do. So we get those. It doesn't matter if you set those equal to 0, like these two parentheses or these two parentheses equal to 0. When you go ahead and solve for x, you're going to end up with x equals -4 and x equals -1 over 7. All right, so you're going to have a problem just like that on your culminating activity. Again, I'll talk about the timeline in a second. But kind of the point for today is to show you exactly what you're going to see and walk you guys through those problems. So your culminating activity has 14 problems total, which means today we're going to be going over 7 of them. So that was question number 1. Again, it looked like this. Just simply solve. And we found x to be -4 and -1 over 7. Be a great idea to be taking notes on this because you guys can pause it here and write whatever your heart so desires. Okay? So the next one you guys are going to try is number 2. Determine the missing coefficient, or a. So I have 5x plus 2 squared equal to all of that, and I want you to go ahead and find a. So I'll give you a chance to try it out on your own. If you need a little bit more help, really all you're doing here is using the box method. So you should be using the box method to rewrite the left side of the equal sign and then determine the missing coefficient. So again, the goal is to determine a. All right, so in this situation, we did box method. So it's 5x plus 2 squared. Again, remember squared means I'm multiplying what's in that parentheses by itself. So I have 5x plus 2 on top, 5x plus 2 on the bottom, multiply in. 5x times 5x is 25x squared. 5x times 2 is 10x. 5x times 2 is 10x. 2 times 2 is 4. So if I don't combine, I have 25x squared plus 10x plus 10x plus 4. 25x squared plus 10x plus 10x plus 4. Combine those middle terms, so then we get 20. 25x squared plus 20x plus 4. If I go back to the original problem, it's looking for a. A is going to be the coefficient on just the x. So once I multiply and combine like terms, I'm looking for just that middle number there. All right. Number 3, go ahead and find the solution to this equation. X squared minus 49 equals 0. So I'll give you guys a chance to try that out. This is actually a difference of squares problem. Remember, difference of squares, you're going to take the square root of this first term, we're going to call that a, square root the second term, we're going to call that b, fill in, so it's going to be a plus b times a minus b. So the square root of the first one plus the square root of the second one multiplied by the square root of the first one minus the square root of the second one. After you have those, you're just going to set it equal to 0 and solve. So again, with these steps, I'm going to give you guys another chance to try it out on your own. And I want you to go ahead and tell me what is x. All right, so when you took the square root, you took the square root of the first one, square root of x squared is just x, which means a is going to be x. The square root of 49 is 7, so b is going to be 7. It's a plus b, a minus b. From there, legit, just set both of those equal to 0. X plus 7 equals 0. I'm going to subtract 7 on both sides, so x equals negative 7. I'm going to add 7 on both sides here, so x equals positive 7. All right. Again, if you need to write this down in your notes, that'd be a great idea. You have the steps, you have the example, you have an original problem. Number 4, for this one, there really aren't like a lot of steps, so I just kind of put it all together. So p of x is a polynomial with 2, x plus 3, 4 minus x, and x squared minus 4 as far as its factors. What must be one of the factors for p of x? So I give you the factors. I'm sorry, what must be one of the zeros? That's a very important word, zeros for p of x. Determine the zeros by setting the factors equal to 0 and then just solving for x. So that's what you guys should be doing. You should be solving for x. Again, what you're going to be doing is you're setting those equal to 0. So 2 still counts. All right, so like I'm going to set 2 equal to 0. And then you're going to ask yourself, does 2 equal 0? Nah, it legit does not. So if it does not equal 0, can it be a 0? By logic, you can reason through that no, 2 isn't a 0. But when I set the next one, I forgot. I'm just going to subtract 3 from both sides, so I'm missing 1 here, and that should be x equals negative 3. Same here, 4 minus x equals 0. Add the x to both sides, so x equals 4. When you set this one equals 0, x squared minus 4, that's again another difference of squares. Square root of the first one, square root of the second one, square root of the first one, square root of the second one. Now set those equal to 0, and you'll end up with those. So the zeros would be 4, negative 2, positive 2, and then the negative 3 that we're missing from this one here. All right, so number 5. The night after Halloween, Timothy has 7 Snickers, 10 Reese's, and 8 Twix. Tim eats 1 candy at random. I was supposed to say at random, sorry. He then eats another without looking. What is the probability that Tim eats 2 Reese's? All right, so I'm going to pause the video here. You guys are going to try it out on your own. If you need a little bit of help, this is a compound probability problem. So the first thing you're going to do is find the probability of the first event. The first event being that he ate a Snickers. Randomly ate a Snickers. Step number 2, determine the probability of the second event. So knowing that I already had 1 Snickers, now you're going to find the probability of the second event. So this 7 is going to change, as well as the total number of candies there. And then all you're going to do is multiply those 2 probabilities. All right. So I'll give you guys another chance to try it out on your own. This is what we're looking for. So the probability of the first event is that the probability he eats his first Snickers is going to be 7 out of 25. It's 7 because that's how many Snickers there were. 25 because 7 plus 10 is 17. 17 plus 8, 25. So that's my part over the whole. After I ate one of my Snickers, I no longer have 7. I ate 1. So if I already ate one of those 7, I only have 6 Snickers left. And then if I started with 25, but then I ate 1, again, I'm down 1. So when I go to get another candy, there's only 24 left. And of those 24, only 6 are Snickers. And then you're just going to multiply those 2 together. What's nice on the exam is we try to keep it to where there's no what word am I thinking? Calculation errors. So to avoid that, this is the form that your answer is going to be in. It's going to be a fraction multiplied by another fraction. And your job, more or less, is to figure out which one of those fractions is best communicating what's happening in the situation. So we really only have 2 more problems. So that's pretty dope. This situation is talking about Venn diagrams. So with 40 students, 14 are taking English, 29 are taking chemistry, and 5 of them are taking both. I kind of started it out for you guys. What I'm going to ask you guys first is, why is this a 9? So I'm going to ask you guys that there. Why is that a 9? The reason why it's 9 is because there's 14 who took English, so this entire circle represents 14. But of those 14, 5 of them are in both, so 14 minus 5 is 9. So really only 9 are only in English, right? But what I want you guys to do is actually go ahead and tell me the probability that the student is in chemistry. So find the probability that a student is in chemistry. If you need some help, these are the steps you can follow. So the first thing you're going to do is fill in the missing sections. So there's a couple things we know. We know that there's 40 students. We know there's 14 in English. We know there's 29 in chemistry. We know there's 5 in both, which means there's only 9 in English, which means you can find this one to find how many are in only chemistry. You can also find how many people are out there, how many are in neither English or chemistry. But yeah, so you're going to fill in those missing sections. After you have your completed Venn diagram, you're going to determine how many students are in chemistry. All right, once you know how many are in chemistry, then you're going to set up your probability as a fraction of the part over the whole. The part in this case is going to be the number of kids in chemistry over the whole total number of kids interviewed. So once you've completed your Venn diagram, it should look something like this. There's 29 total in chemistry. If 5 of them are in both, then 24 are only in chemistry. The probability that a student is in chemistry is what we were looking for. So if I think about chemistry, it's this entire circle. I know a lot of us will just use the 24, but that 24 represents students who are only in chemistry, not the number of kids who are in chemistry. It's not asking what is the probability that a student is in only chemistry. It's asking that a student is in chemistry. So that's anyone who is a part of that circle there. So that should have been 29. The whole, you could have like added up all the numbers you got, or just go back to this question statement. There's 40 kids total. So then it's 29 over 40. Right? The probability that they're in chemistry is going to be 29 out of the 40 who are interviewed total. All right, last one. What is the problem, or which of the following are independent events? Again, independent means that one event does not affect the other. So I'm going to give you guys a chance to read through it and determine on your own which one of these is going to be an independent event. All right, so there's really not like a lot of steps here. It's just a matter of reading through it and figuring it out on yourself. So if we're looking at A, the probability of eating 2 Snickers from a bowl, we talked about that one earlier, right? If there were 25, then I ate one, then my sample space changed, so there's only 24. So those two events affect each other, right? If I eat a Snickers, that's going to affect how many total are in the bowl, and that's going to affect how many Snickers are available for me to eat. So A is very clearly going to be dependent. B, the probability of wearing shorts and the forecast being above 100 degrees. So you kind of have to think, if I know it's going to be above 100 degrees today, is that going to affect whether or not I wear shorts? For some people, like, no, like, y'all just be walking around in shorts and flip-flops all day long, and like, yo, good for you. But for like the average person, if it's going to be above 100 degrees, then you're more likely to be wearing shorts, right? So those two are going to affect each other. So the first one was dependent. The second one's dependent. We're looking at C, the probability of rolling snake eyes, which is 2 1s on a pair of dice. So what's happening is I'm going to roll 1 dice, and I want to know the probability of getting a 1. I'm going to roll another dice, and again, find the probability of getting a 1. On the first dice, if it's just a regular die, just 1 through 6, the probability of getting a 1 is going to be 1 out of 6. And then I go to my second dice in that pair. The second one is not affected at all by the first one. It doesn't matter if I rolled a 2 or 3 or a 4. Every single time I roll my die, the probability of getting a 1 is going to be 1 out of 6 because I'm not changing the sample space. It's not like I rolled a 1 on the first one, so I got rid of the 1. No, that's still the exact same thing. So C is going to be the one where they're independent of one another because, again, those two dice are separated. For D, may sound a little bit ridiculous, but the probability of having a peanut allergy and eating Reese's, Reese's have peanut butter. So hopefully if you have a peanut allergy, you're not eating your Reese's. Yeah, just if I have a peanut allergy, I'm much less inclined to eat a Reese's because of that, I don't know, potential death, Loki. But yeah. Okay, that's kind of like all the math we're gonna do today. What you guys have the ability to do now is go back and look at them. Like I said, you guys are taking your culminating activity this week. All 7 of these problems are essentially on that culminating activity. If you were in my class this year, you do know that like I try to show you exactly what you're going to see. The practice exams, I try to make as similar to the real exams as possible. All right. Speaking of the real exam, this is kind of what is going to happen this week. So on Monday, which is the 11th, we have today, which is the practice exam part 1. Tomorrow, the 12th, is going to be the second kind of part of this. So again, I told you it's 14 questions. So 1 through 7 here, 8 through 14 here. All up until the 17th, you guys can be making up any and all daily assignments that you might be missing. That is through all of April and since we started in March. All right, so it might be different in other classes, but for me, if you get all of the ed puzzles done, then you'll pretty much be exactly where I need you to be. All right, so if you're struggling to know where to start, get the ed puzzles done. That's going to be your best bet to make sure that you guys have or earn the credit that you deserve for this class. Okay. So again, you have from today all the way up until Sunday, right? So like pretty much a week to be getting all of those assignments done. Talk to your teachers now. You do not want to wake up on Monday the 18th and get an email saying you're going to be getting an incomplete and have to do all that stuff in an hour. You have this week, get it done now. All right. Also this week, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, you guys are going to be taking your culminating activities, which again is in the form of a test. It's on School City. If you have any problems accessing that, please let us know as soon as possible. On Wednesday, it's going to be periods 1 and 2. You'll be testing. Everyone else, you don't have anything posted from us, right? So if I'm a seniors have already taken this. If I'm a junior and I am in Miss Petrucciello's 4th period, then I'm here and I'm going to be taking my test on Thursday. I do not have any work for Algebra 2 on Wednesday. Nothing will be posted to Google Classroom. You won't really see any, I don't know. Yeah, just like nothing will be posted there. What I should be doing on this Wednesday is completing my culminating activities for period 1 and period 2, whatever those may be, as well as doing any makeup assignments that I possibly have. Because again, I have until Sunday at midnight to be done. I do want to talk about the grading policy again. For the grading policy, you do have to have 50% of all of the daily assignments done. I think it averages, I don't know. Email us if you need to know exactly where you are or not. And we have a pretty clear idea of who needs to do a little bit more. If you're worried at all, send us a quick email. We'll get to you as soon as possible. All right. First and second period, you're testing Wednesday. The test will be available at 7 a.m. and it will close at midnight. So you have until 7 a.m. until midnight to get your culminating activity done. It's on School City. It's only 14 questions. We just went over the first 7. Okay. On Thursday, periods 3 and periods 4, you'll be taking your culminating activity. On Friday, periods 5 and periods 6, you'll be taking your culminating activity. You will not have access to it until your day. Once your day passes, you will no longer have access to it. So it is essential that you get your culminating activity done on your assigned day. All right. I do want to tell you guys again that we're incredibly proud of you. Like legit, you're done. You have this ed puzzle, you have this ed puzzle, you have 14 questions to answer, and you're finished. Okay. Couldn't be more proud of you guys. Honestly, you learned a lot. It is a low-key a little bit heartbreaking that we won't be seeing you guys, but thank you for your work this year. Yeah. Wee, good job. Let me see. I don't know how to pause this.